Welcome to another rendition of, or another recording of Between Two File Cabinets. As you can see, this is COVID style. This is not in the office. I am not between two file cabinets. So we are just recording from our own homes. I see that Susan is in the office, but with all of the increase in rates and things like that, we decided that we should probably stay home today. I want to welcome Susan and Kourtnee today to talk with us about their programs and their role and involvement at WACC. And I welcome all of you to view this video and any other videos we have out there. Thank you for being here and tuning in to WACC's channel. Without further ado, let's talk with Susan and Kourtnee. If each of you could go ahead and just introduce yourselves, talk to us about who you are, what you do, how long you've been at WACC, those kinds of things that the people want to know in our community.
Okay, I can go first. My name is Susan Usher, and I have been with WACC for about 3.5 years. I actually had a close friend that was on the board and had attended the breakfast, and hearing the former executive director at that time, it just fell in line with everything I had done education-wise and profession-wise, and had reached out at that point. But obviously there was no opportunities. And so when there was an opportunity opening, my friend kind of alerted me to that. And it was a nice way for me to combine my other life of coaching and being able to help WACC. So my role is office manager, and then due to my social work background, I was also brought in to do BST and be a BST facilitator.
Awesome. Thank you for being here today, Susan. We're glad you're on our team. All right, Kourtnee, tell us a little bit about you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kourtnee. I started interning at WACC in the fall of 2018, and a position became open for the We Care Elementary Healthy Relationships Project. I applied for the position. I was offered the position and I accepted. So I've been working at WACC at any capacity that I can since then, trying to grow the We Care program, but also helping with body safety training and anything else that is thrown at me. So I'm excited to be able to work with such a great team and help our community in any way possible.
Great. Well, welcome. We're glad to have you as well. And I'm glad to see that you were an intern at one point and then came on as a staff person. I know that those opportunities can be really valuable experiences for people. So we're glad you joined the team. So let's talk a little bit about your program specifically. So both of you deal with a topic around child sexual abuse, which is something that we really as a community struggle with a lot of times, is having that conversation, even as adults, just because it's uncomfortable, it's yucky, it's not something that, you know, you ever want to hear the words come out of your kid's mouth, is that I'm being touched inappropriately or somebody is hurting me, that's not okay. And violating my body safety rules, to use our language, right? So I want to talk a little bit about your programs. Can you tell us about like body safety program or the body safety training program, what it does, who you guys work with, a little bit around that. And then also, Kourtnee, if you can talk about the We Care program, that would be really helpful.
Okay, I can talk about, body safety because, originally that wasn't something that was on my task when I first was hired, but being asked to do it, I can say that originally I was a little put back, and it is a little, I guess, frightening, but it is something like you just said, it's uncomfortable, and never did I think, especially the young age. So we tailor our program, obviously, to preschoolers all the way up to 2nd grade, but just seeing how the kids do respond, and you think that being so young that they can't get it, but they do get it. And I think the program, how it's set up, and the 10 days, you really build a relationship with them. So they really listen and they really become engaged. And even though for being so young, they truly get our messages and they truly can get and understand about their bodies and about sexual abuse, and that it's not okay, and that they can tell someone, and just going over those scenarios over and over and repeating. I think it was almost eye-opening to me. That those young ages, that they can learn, and we can educate them, and they can be empowered, and they do get it. So that was kind of eye-opening for me. But to see their progress through the 10 days that you work in a classroom, it does kind of inspire you, and that they're so young, but we can make a change.
Now the body safety training, it doesn't just address like body safety in the way we talk about like our physical touch, but it also addresses safety like in the home, right?
Correct. The whole first week, the whole first 5 lessons are all just common normal safety practices, which we should be going over as well. And that kind of builds up then to going over body parts and getting into the sexual abuse part. And I think that really enlightens them to safety. And then it kind of leads right into the next part of safety of our bodies, kind of building those messages early on from, chemicals, poisons, fire, crossing the street, guns, which is very prevalent in our society nowadays, and they're more exposed. And then kind of leading up into the strangers, and then going into the piece about, our private parts and our body safety goal.
Great, thank you. Kourtnee, will you talk a little bit about the We Care Elementary, and if you have anything to add about the body safety training, that would be good as well.
So our body safety training is ages 3 through 7. And like Susan was saying, that even though you think they're 3 years old, how could they get this? They really do, and they remember. And because we have the 10 days, it's going over it and it's reiterating these key concepts, like with chemicals and poisons, we don't touch, we don't pick up, we don't play with. And then we move on to different concepts in the portions about our body safety is know, go, and tell. So when we give them these simple examples and keep reiterating them over and over, it's easy for them to remember. It's easier for them to go back to these scenarios and break it down and say, okay, this happened to me. I need to say no. I need to go somewhere safe or go to a safe person. And then I need to tell what happened. And walking through these scenarios with them really helps them to think about, if this were to happen, what am I going to do? And it gives them the tools and the opportunities to be able to be empowered and advocate for themselves when things like this could potentially happen to them.
So why is that such a good base for, because you did a lot of work just trying to figure out what program to offer after that 7-year-old age group. So you added the We Care Elementary program. Why is BST, why does that offer such a good base for kids?
The BST offers a good base for kids building into the We Care Elementary because it uses a lot of the same concepts. And it builds just like our BST kind of builds into We Care, and We Care builds into our cyber safety program. It's the same key concepts and the same messaging, consistent messaging throughout, not just BST and We Care, but also in our cyber safety programs.
I love how, I'm not one to be attributed to all of the great success of these programs and bringing all these things in, but it's just amazing to me about how awesome each of the programs just continue to build on one another, and that kids, even if they're in one program in one school and they go to another part of our programming in another school, it seems as though it's just kind of fluid for them. It's all consistent, it's all connected, and the concepts just continue on and build from one another. And I love that about each of these programs. They're separate yet all together, and it's just an amazing thing for me to experience, and I love that. So do you want to talk any more about the We Care program and what it does and where that's at?
Yeah, absolutely. So our We Care program, it's focusing on a lot of social and emotional learning skills. So each grade, 3rd, 4th, and 5th has different lessons, but like in BST and We Care and cyber safety, they're all building. So you can get the program in 3rd grade, go to 4th grade and still learn something new, but it's also reinforcing topics that were talked about in 3rd grade. So again, that repetitive year after year, you're getting consistent messaging, but you're still learning new things. We talk about healthy and unhealthy relationships, not just personal relationships in person with adults and friends, but we also talk about online relationships, which right now we know that kids are online a lot more than they would normally be. So we talk about and give them vocabulary on what healthy and unhealthy relationships look like, not only in person, but online. How am I speaking online? How is someone speaking to me online? How is that making me feel? Is it making me feel healthy or unhealthy in my mind and body? So we're able to talk about that. We talk about stress and stressors and what we can do to cope with those stressors. And during a pandemic, there is quite a bit of stress and stressors. So it's good. It's good to be able to also talk to kids about how to deal with that and giving them good, solid examples and techniques of how they can deal with that stress and the stressors, and then how to cope with that in a way that is healthy for them and their mind and their body.
So you just kind of dove right into my next question and thought process around, there's so much happening with kiddos and in their families right now, being home, being at school, being here, being there, with families, with neighbors, with relatives or whomever, just trying to get their education in. And it is a lot of stress. It is a lot of worry for parents and for the kids. What would you say is probably the most pressing concern for parents right now? Or even, let's have a little bit of a conversation around what's most pressing for parents, what's most pressing for educators and school systems. I mean, you both are out there talking with people. What are you hearing? What are you sensing in the community?
Well, as a mom with a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old trying to work from home, still giving them the time and attention that they need and still trying to work, to really find that good give and take portion of it. I have to give attention and I have to make sure that my kids are being taken care of. But also sometimes, I need to take a moment, to take a break, to take a pause and to collect myself so I can still be patient and still, give them the patience that they need, because we're all very stressed right now. So my 3 things is: you take a pause, you do something positive, and you try and be patient. So that's really what we're trying to work on in our house right now. And I would encourage, just take a pause, try to find something positive, whether in the situation or about the day, and be patient. So
Yeah. And those are really hard to do. Susan, what have you been hearing and
Well, I think
experiencing?
a lot of just parents and families are trying to balance, and it is hard when and things keep changing, I guess, at their schools, and just balancing and trying to keep up with it. I think the kids are pretty good. They are learning how to navigate things probably even better than the parents. Logging on Zooms, chat rooms, small groups, they are good. So they're going to become even more tech savvy probably through all this. But I think families, working parents, working families, it's just that whole processing of, especially younger kids, are they logging on? Are they getting their work done? Some of the kids I think are struggling learning online and keeping up with homework, and they are per se falling behind, and I think parents are concerned about that, especially at different milestones, I guess. Maybe you see, are more important grades, high schoolers that maybe are getting ready for college and tests and those kind of things. I know my own son, he was a 2020 senior, so that year kind of got blown up a little bit, and things are a little different, and being a freshman, and now he's back home. So things are, a lot different, and trying to, I guess, balance all that and making sure kids are okay, but also looking for those outlets. My other part of my life is coaching, and that kids need those outlets. They need that physical, they need those connections, but how do we keep doing that safely? Right. And now things are changing again a little bit here in the next few weeks, but trying to push that message that if everyone does their part, then maybe we can get back at doing what we love even more, and we can do more fun things, parties and get-togethers. If we can get through this, and it'll even be try to flip it, because you can't be negative. Try to flip those messages of think how much more fun we're going to have, or think of the more fun things we can do once we can get back. And then you're going to appreciate it even more.
I sure hope that becomes the case, definitely. So I'm curious to know, from your perspectives with the work that you do, how does this come back around to child sexual abuse prevention? And I'm thinking about even because I too have young kiddos, right? So just thinking about how does this experience play into their own body health and safety, right? How does this experience, what are the things that we need to be cognizant of as a community and as parents and as neighbors and friends about how these experiences play a role in kids' body health, I guess. I think that's where my brain is going.
I would say with the body safety training, and it's still, I think, really important that we are navigating how to do this online and in different ways, because kids are home more right now. And now we're getting into the winter season and we're going to be stuck inside. And I know my kiddos love to explore around the house, getting into cabinets, finding things. So really making sure that we are adapting to these times and being able to offer these programs, which thankfully we found a way to be able to do that. And to get that consistent messaging out that we still need to be doing our programs. We found a new way to do it. We've adapted to the times and the situations that we're in, but still providing our programming to all these families. So we aren't touching chemicals and poisons. And if we are home and there is a fire, what do we do? If someone knocks at the door, do we answer it when mom and dad are on a work call? Just these simple little things that we could still be teaching kids that they enjoy and that we know they love because we were in the classrooms, but now we can bring it to them virtually.
I think one thing too is we know that kids are getting less contact with teachers, in person, and coaches and some of those other supports that maybe would see an issue or a concern. So like Kourtnee said, getting those messages out there and keep pushing that to the classrooms and the teachers so that we can get that contact and kind of, realize and be aware and notice if there is an issue so that we can, help that child or help that family.
You're absolutely right about the contact. Some schools are in person, or at least in person a couple of days a week. And it's so important for the professionals who are the number one reporters of child abuse, right? They're the ones that receive the most interaction with kids when they disclose that there's abuse or that they can see that something is wrong. And so you're right, you're absolutely right. We have to utilize those opportunities that we have when we're in person to scan the kids, to make sure that we're checking in with them, maybe even checking in with them virtually. What are the things we have to see virtually or that we should be looking for or hearing when they're on a Zoom call? So yes, professionals are just as important in this whole process and making sure that kids are staying safe. So I'm glad to hear you say that. So is there anything that you would offer in terms of support for parents who have concerns about their children being online or who are at higher risk for any sort of sexual abuse that's happening in the home? Are there things that you would want to make sure that parents hear you say, or even professionals, youth serving professionals, educators?
I always go back to the point, if you see something, say something. If you see something that's concerning to you, it's better to say something than to just let it go by and worry and wonder about it. So if you have a concern, if you have a child that you think may need to be reached out to be spoken to, then there are still people out there doing intake calls. There are still people out there doing investigations and things, because keeping our kids safe is very important. So I would say if you see something and you feel concerned about it, say it. And also being mandated reporters. It's not just we want to help kids, it's we're responsible to help kids. We are mandated to do that. And kids are already having a hard enough time with transitioning. So if you see something, I would definitely say something. Or if as a parent or a teacher, you want resources to give to parents to talk about body safety, please reach out to us, because we have a plethora of resources and things available to be able to provide.
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head. Kids need us to be there for them, right? They deserve that 110% of keeping them safe and secure. They deserve that from us because that's where they're learning it from, right? To teach it to the next generation and to do what they need to do as a community. Susan, what else do you have to add for parents and community members?
I think Courtney had some really good points, and I think just because we're in a pandemic doesn't mean that you can turn a blind eye.
Mhm.
You know, kids still deserve that. Things aren't right. If they're being abused or being neglected, it's still not right. So you have to take those steps, and even though it may be scary or you know, put yourself in a different position or role, you still have that obligation.
Mhm.
You know, they didn't ask you put in that situation, and you need to protect those that cannot protect themselves. So I think reaching out, and if we can't do it, we will find someone that can do that part.
Yeah.
And we want to get out there. We want to still put these programs out there. You know, yeah, it's different, but they can still learn. If they pick up one little tidbit from body safety or from We Care, that one tidbit maybe can do a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I always think too along the adage of, you know, it's easier to prevent things from happening than to have to repair a broken adult, right? A man or a woman or a teenager. It's so much easier to invest in these early years and make sure that kids have the skills and the tools necessary, and that parents around them have the skills and the tools necessary to help keep them safe. Because it's so much easier to do that than it is to work on it on the back end and or on that the latter end where we're trying to repair that harm that's already been done. So I know that none of us are perfect parents. You know, we're all moms, right? We're all trying to make this work during the pandemic. And I appreciate you all sharing your insight, because I think that we all need to realize that we're all human. We're all trying to work through this, and none of us are perfect. None of us are going to get it right the first time. There isn't a manual that comes with these kids, right? There isn't something that tells us exactly what we should do every minute of every day. I mean, come on, let's be real here. We had, how many times have I said I've got drop off issues and things like that? You know, it is what it is. And we just support each other and treat one another with some grace and space too, because we need to understand that as parents that we're struggling too, and that comes across to our kids. And how do we support one another in that way? So I just appreciated having both of you and the rest of our team on our team, and being able to have these frank discussions and conversations and sharing resources that could be helpful for you or for me or for anybody out there. So I just really appreciate all that you guys are doing. So, and I thank you for being here today. I would like to ask another question. You know, with all this COVID stuff and the governor coming out with her changes in how we should be hanging out, I'm curious to know what you guys are doing differently this year for your Thanksgiving. Are you going to do something special?
Not anything
Just
quite
home?
different. Yeah, kind of. You know, I have a really small family. My son is the only grandchild on that side, so kind of doing just our small family and doing what we do. It's a little different still because there's a concern. I have elderly parents. And I have a special needs sister, so there is always that concern. But just kind of keeping it small with our small family and eating our ham. We don't eat turkey, but we eat our ham and our stuffing.
What about you guys, Kourtnee?
I'm not much of a cook. So I would be very excited to support a small business in the area and cater our Thanksgiving dinner here in our home to my husband and our two daughters. We aren't very huge on holidays. With my husband being a first responder, he mostly has to work holidays, so we adapt very easily here. So we're just going to stay home and stay safe and eat whatever takeout.
Yeah. Or catered meal, whatever. Great. Yes. Well, I hope that you both get to enjoy some time off and with your families. And like we keep saying, you know, let's do this sacrifice now so that in the long run we can be all together in the future. So I just appreciate all that you're doing, and hopefully I'll get to cook this year. My daughters are helping me with a menu, so we'll see how that goes. But we do like to cook in our household. We like to bake and cook and all those things. So maybe I'll have some leftovers, Kourtnee, that I'll drop off at the office for you. So All right. Well, ladies, I appreciate your time here today. And for everyone out there, I hope you enjoyed this rendition of Between Two Cabinets. We'll continue to hold interviews with all the rest of the staff and even some board members and community members in the future. So keep checking back to our station and our channel, and hopefully you enjoy the content that's out there. Take care. And if you have any questions or need anything, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Our website is washtenaw.children.org. Our phone number is 734-434-4215. And if you have an email question that you want to send out, just send us an email at info@washtenaw.children.org. Thanks, everybody, and have a great day.